Got another 410 ballistic gel test for you here today. We are shooting the 3-inch Winchester Foster or rifled lead slugs, whatever you want to call them. Previously, I tested the 2.5-inch versions alongside the Remington 2.5-inch in the same video. Very interesting results. They pretty much just act like a varmint round. I'll put a link in the description if you want to see that video to see what I'm talking about. But I recently tested the Federal 2.5-inch, which is a 1/4 ounce, as are these, instead of a 1/5 ounce, because usually the 2.5-inch shells are a 1/5 ounce slug, but the Federal 2.5 is a 1/4 ounce slug, so a little bit heavier slug, and it performed a little bit better. I'll put a link in the description to that video as well if you want to check that out. Now, I'll still say that Brennicky seems to be the best ever 410 slug. I'll stand by that until I see it dethroned, which I don't think it ever will be. The Brennickys are awesome for penetration. I'll put a link in the description for that slug gel test as well if you want to see it. But after seeing how those Federal 1/4 ounce did, I wanted to test the Remington Winchester, rather. Their 3-inch version here shoots a 1/4 ounce instead of 1/5 ounce like the 2.5-inch shells do. So we'll send a few of these over the chrono, see if it's getting close to that advertised velocity. I can tell you in an old video I tested the I think it was these, and they did hit 1,800 feet per second for me, and out of kind of a short barrel. We're going to use a longer barrel today. We'll send some over the chrono, see if we're getting advertised velocity. We'll send them into the blocks here. Knox 10% ballistics gelatin BB calibration today, coming right in at about 2.95. so that is the minimum allowable penetration. Basically, if you're on this end of it, they're a little thicker, and if you're on this end of the calibration, they're a little thinner. So the first shot I took, I usually do them with 8 pumps. You're supposed to send a BB in at 590 feet per second, give or take 10 or 15 feet per second allowable variation one way or the other. 8 pumps usually gives me about 580 something. So I went ahead and gave it an extra pump or two. Got a little bit further there, 2.95. Probably right at about 600 feet per second on that one, but again, it's still within the allowed variance. So we're technically within calibration there, but if anything, it's just a tad thicker than usual. But in my experience of doing this over the years, difference between your calibration coming in here and here, you'll see a penetration difference of like 1 inch or less. So it makes only a little bit of difference, but we should be in calibration here today. And also, you guys want to stay tuned. This will be the next 410 gel test here. I've been waiting to do this for about 2 or 3 years now, so stay tuned for that. Towards the end of the video, we'll get a retained weight. Of course, we'll measure the penetration depth, expanded diameter if it holds together at all. I'm going to use my Stevens 301 here today, and for those who would recognize that this is a turkey model, I have the improved cylinder. I can never get a focus on this. Improved cylinder choke inner, so there's no restriction really on that slug. This is what you would want to use for slugs. All right, go ahead and send a few over the chrono here, and that is a 26-inch barrel, by the way. I don't know if you guys can, hopefully it'll stay focused like that so you can see the reads here, but we'll send 2 or 3 over. Oh, that's low 17 there, threw me for a loop. You can see the other two came in right about 18, and my previous chrono test of these gave me an 1803 with a shorter barrel. I don't have a lot of these, and they're hard to come by and expensive, but I'll go ahead and send 2 more over to see what that brings our average to. All right, so it seems like that one was a fluke. Most of them are hovering around 1800 there. That was our highest, 1854. But man, that one oddball there would have threw you for a loop at 50 plus yards. Got about 150 feet per second difference in velocity between that one and this one. So probably make a few inches difference out at even 50 yards. But anyways, that's our results there. So most of them at least are coming in 1800. I might have to try to see if I get 2 in these blocks then, just in case one of them's a low velocity one. We are temperature controlled as always, guys, but we'll go ahead and get you set up here and we'll send them in the block. Now this is close range here, just shooting about 5 yards. You know, if we get fragmentation like I'm expecting, it would be lessened at a further distance. I'll probably eventually be doing longer distance 410 ballistic gel tests. So you just have to stay tuned for that. But we are at about 5 yards here. Alright, so good energy dump, evidenced by the block jumping like that. But how much penetration did we get? And there's a chunk out here somehow. So that's what I got to figure out. Of course, we do have fragmentation. Obviously, that's not the whole slug. There's a big piece right there. There's another piece right there, there and there. Looks like it came out the bottom, I'm guessing. Yeah, see right there, it shot out the bottom. There's a chunk right there of it where it hit the wood, and there's the other chunk. I don't think it would have went much further based on the previous videos. Like I said, linked in the description if you want to check them out. But we'll take another shot on this other side here. I'll come in a little higher, and hopefully it'll stay in the block and not exit like this one did. But yeah, just absolutely massive wound cavity, as is typical for these, about 4 inches across. Just crazy. But again, I've not seen a lot of penetration except for with the Bernickeys. So this path is definitely going to intersect with this one, but we'll go ahead and take another. I'll come up a little higher. Watch my luck, it'll curve up this time and go out the top. But we'll take one more over here. Hopefully should stay in the block and not touch the wood all the way through. Well, that was eventful. Hopefully we got some decent slow-mo. Now my block's all dirty. I seen it fly up in the air and it looked like it's freaking shredded now. So that wound cavity right next to it doesn't help. Jeez, let me get this up here to minimize the amount of dirt I get on it. Well, I came in higher, like I said, but I think that's part of the problem because it just expanded out the top there. But what I'm interested in is the penetration. Now see this one, it curved down also, you see it? This thing's getting slippery. And yeah, I don't know. Where the heck did it go? What the heck happened? Let me take a look at this real quick. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Like there's, I mean, I'm not even hardly seeing fragments in here. It's just, there's nothing. And I don't see like a hole or really you know, this, if I remember correctly, was flush against the face or close to it. So I don't know if maybe that's a dent from it or that's a dent from it. I must have lost it out the side or something. I tried coming in about as high as I could there and it still curved down. So I got to do these, or this single bar null, I should say. So I might try to send one more of these in the block after I do the bar null test. Try for a third time for a capture, but as of right now, that's our results there. So I know it's kind of hard to see for you guys, but about right there is the end of where that first one exited the bottom, and that is at about 6.5 inches, which I gotta say, if they stayed straight, I don't think it would have went much further, because this is similar results. Again, check out, linked in the description, similar results to the 1/4 ounce Federal. So I don't think it would have meant, Jesus, I cannot talk today. I don't think it would have went a whole lot further. That's about an inch of expanded diameter there of what's left. And of course this one over here, you know, about the same depth before we just lost it somewhere. So, but if they maintained straight, I don't think they would have went a whole lot further, especially you know, being like this. Although again, it's hard to tell because this thing just, hopefully the slow-mo will show it, but it just opened up and they were flopping all over the place. So I'm almost 100% sure it did fragment just like this one, but it probably threw the pieces everywhere when it hit and fell off the table and all that. So it's not like that one did not fragment and would have traveled further. I'm positive it did fragment just the same. That's what all these do. We just didn't capture any of those because of what it did to the block. But for those who would want it, again, our expanded diameter just showed it was a little over 1 inch. This is going to flicker some because of the wind out here right now. It's a reloader scale, very sensitive. About 69 grains there on what's left from that first shot. If you guys want to get yourself a little scale, micrometer, caliper, target stand I use, paper targets I use, chronograph, more links in the description for all that. So I'm going to attempt one more shot after I'm done with the bar and all test, like I said. So if that is successful, I'll throw that in now. All right, so I finally did have success off camera after that bar and all video, which, by the way, that bar and all was awesome. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. But here's one I just took off camera with the 3-inch Winchester. And we got a little tiny piece that made it to almost 7.5 inches here. But the majority of it is right down in here. Again, you can see it's shredded, fragmented. This time we got a piece of the wad or skirt or whatever you'd want to call it. So there's the biggest chunk of it down in there, about 4 or 5 inches. And you can see little pieces of lead right there, right there, right there. But that furthest one, 7.5 inches. So again, like I said, you know, we were getting what, 6, 7 inches, whatever I said it was, before they were curving down and hitting the table. And as I said, I was like, yeah, it's pretty much done. I can almost guarantee it. And then, yeah, you can see there somehow a little piece made it further than the big chunk. So the shots where the big chunk was hitting our table at about 6 or 7 or whatever I said it was, you know, they wouldn't have really went any farther, just like I said. But here's what's left of that little tiny piece that, if I can get it out, that somehow made it further than the big piece, probably because it's so small. You know, obviously these weigh more, but they're larger diameter as well, so they have more resistance traveling through a medium like this. But that little guy there made it, you know, 7.5. So that's probably just a fluke, honestly. So as you can see, we got some flip-flop results here, where the big piece this time didn't go 6 or 7 inches instead of like 4.5, 5. But this little piece carried through. So either way, I think that's about the penetration depth you're looking at there, you know, somewhere in the 6-inch range on average with those. So at least I finally caught one there without it exiting. So now we know. Appreciate you guys stopping by and watching. Make sure you check out the 410 playlist on the channel for anything 410. Again, some of the other slug tests will be linked in the description of the video. But thanks for stopping by today. I really appreciate it, and I hope to catch you on the next one.